What is going on, Eagles fans? Welcome to Edge of Philly Sports. Welcome into the pregame show. I got my boy Mitch and Ryan here to take you into the last regular season pregame show here on Edge of Philly for the 2023 season. Guys, what's going on?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. Got this game stress free. All my stress is in tomorrow for Michigan and Washington. So
Okay.
that's where all my stress is at right now.
Well,
Right.
I'm not stressed at all. I'm feeling great. We're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. I don't really care who wins on Monday. I'm good.
So we're going to do this one a little differently. I just told these guys before we went live. I said normally we give you your players of the game, top 5 topics, which we're going to talk about our topics more or less. But players of the game, to me, at this point in this game are irrelevant. Right now, let's look at kind of the breakdown of what needs to happen. The ultimate gameplay would be Eagles win, Cowboys lose. Right now, they're 11-point favorites or something like that over Washington, which is not shocking. I mean, when we saw Washington, they had a little bit of a better team this season, so they get to get them at the end of the season when they trade away their best defensive players. But listen, it's Dallas. Anything's possible with, dropping the ball in Dallas. So, but I'm not banking on it. I'm just, being hopefully, positive attitude. But I do want to talk to you guys about not so much the topics of the game, but and Ryan, I'll start with you. What do you want to see in this game the most? Like, what do you need to come out of this game feeling a little bit better than you've had probably over the last 4 to 5 weeks?
Well, today's going to be tough because we don't know how much the starters are going to be playing. We don't know who's actually going to be playing. But, if I'm taking it for, hey, the starters are in there the whole time, what I want to see is I want to see the offense move the ball efficiently, not jam themselves up with their own stupid play calling. Defensively, I want them to actually, I don't know, look like a defense in some way. Like they just are abysmal at this point. So I need to see some positivity out of that defensive, team there. So, yeah, I don't need anything big. I just need to see a little bit saying, hey, we're actually here. We can do this. Maybe we'll get lucky and put it together for a few games in the playoffs.
Yeah, and Mike's kind of chiming in here. Player of the game needs to be Nick Sirianni and the coaching staff not getting out coached again. Hopefully, that's a big ask right now, Mike. But hopefully, I think Ryan and I talked to Fred. When me and him we sat in for Mike and Pat for PM and AM this morning. We're hoping that if they get the 5th seed, they at least get the 5th seed. Maybe it's an eye opener. Maybe it's a wake up call. You would hope, maybe the last 5 or 6 weeks was the wake up call they needed, but this is a wake up call that needs to get done. I think certain things can get fixed, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But there's other things. But play calling, I don't see where you're going to fix that now. Are you going to install a new offense? Are you going to be able to teach a new offense? You don't have, you went from a high likelihood of getting that 1 seed to, down to possibly the 2 seed now, most higher probabilities of being a 5th seed. And all that over a few weeks when this team was 10-1 not that long ago. It does feel that way. Mitch, I'll go to you. Like, your thoughts. What do you want to see? And do you think that this coaching staff can make a difference or make changes to make a difference, I should say?
I don't know if there's going to be too many differences. The only difference I want to see is just like the players after this whole AJ Brown situation with the media. Is it actually, are they going to step up? Are they going to answer the call and everything? Because actions speak louder than words. And what AJ Brown's been doing these last couple weeks and with this media press conference thing, I don't know. I just want to see a little waking, a little eye opener. I want to see like, okay, this team's here.
Yeah, I think that's probably the sentiment of most people. Like I said, what I'm looking at this game is I call it mistake-free football. Now, listen, turnovers are going to happen. A guy punches the ball out. To me, that's not so much a mistake unless you're not supporting or holding the ball correctly, or you make a silly mistake and you fumble it trying to do the handoff. but like just little things like quality control, we'll call it, like getting the right personnel on the field at the right amount of time without looking like a clown car type of circus act. Guys, tripping over each other, not knowing where the play call is. Jalen throwing the ball where the guy should be and he's not there. Either he run the wrong route or he threw the ball in the wrong spot. That's a key thing, because certain things, like I said, I'll talk about those things that I feel that can be fixed. And I think it starts in the trenches a little bit. And we're going to talk about that because we went from being like one of the best pass defending defense or run defending defenses in the league to we couldn't stop the Cardinals. We couldn't stop the Giants were still running on us more than they should have. Seahawks. All teams have good running backs, don't get me wrong, but O-lines on most of those teams are either makeshift, porous, or just atrocious. I mean, I think the Giants have two guys on their line right now who were sitting on the couch just a few weeks ago, who are just there just to collect a quick paycheck and get through this last game, bags packed, ready to go on vacation. But I think the Giants will play a little harder because they want to play spoiler in this situation. But let's talk about that defense for a second. Let's talk about the trenches. Let's talk about the rush defense. That to me this team has been haphazard. What I mean by that is they're not, they're getting off the ball wrong. They're getting out of their lanes wrong. And they're biting on the stunting on the offensive lines of teams that shouldn't be better than them. Mitch, I'm going to throw it to you first. Like, can the D-line, number one, get that corrected? And what do you need to see from them today?
I just want to see them get to the quarterback and try to stop Saquon Barkley to the best of their ability. Saquon healthy is a top 5 running back in this league. So with Jordan Davis and the return of Josh Sweat, like Dives is saying right there, got a lot to see in this rushing defense. In just a month, we went from the top to the bottom. It's just like, how does that happen? But I want to see them invest their ability.
How about you there, Ryan? What would you feel like? What do you like? We see let's see what Dive says. Need to see the defense show signs of life. The return of Josh Sweat, Jordan Davis, and Jalen Carter, as well as Hassan Reddick not dropping back in coverage. And I'll touch on that after you, Ryan, when you get into it. But especially that dropping in the coverage situation. Right. But Jalen Hurts. When we talk about like with the Phillies, Trey Turner got a little standing ovation. Looks like Jalen Carter got a little bit of an ovation Friday night at the Sixers game when he rang the bell. Do we see a resurgence, and how much do you need to see that yourself?
Well, listen, as far as the Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter thing, I don't know if there's anything that's going to help the situation at this point. I mean, they're literally playing their 17th game. This is, probably 4 or 5 more games than they've ever played in their life in a season. So, understandably, they're a little gassed, they're a little tired. And I think the whole Jordan Davis out of shape thing is a little blown out of proportion. I think it's more or less of just, hey, listen, he didn't play a lot last year. He didn't play all the games. Was hurt a little bit. Again, it takes a little time to get used to playing 17 games now. So I think that's all that is for the big boys in the middle. The whole dropping back into coverage thing. I mean, my God, I just don't understand it. Literally, you have guys that, I mean, even Brandon Graham was dropping back. Like, why? Like, these guys are pass rushers. Get after the quarterback. Stop putting them in you're literally you're moving linebackers into rush while you're pulling out your edge. Again, just idiotic in my opinion. Yeah. But listen, as far as the pass rush, I think a lot of it was teams weren't really running the ball much on us. So I think I saw a stat that they're literally running the ball about 15 more times than they were earlier, or now than they were earlier in the season. That's a lot. That's gonna get at you, and especially when you can't stop anybody on third down. You're gonna be out there on the field a lot longer. They're running the ball at you a lot more. The big boys are getting tired. Really, that's honestly what it is. And when anybody who was at the Cardinals game or saw it on TV or anything, but man, you just saw them slowly go down the field, just play after play after play every single drive. It felt like it was just awful. It was torturous, honestly, to watch. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything that can be done outside of put your guys in the best positions and not have them drop back into coverage and get after the quarterback. But the rush defense, man, if I was any team, I would be running the ball about 50 times today with Saquon Barkley, to be perfectly honest, because they've shown that they can't stop anybody over the last since week 10, honestly.
Dives looks like he's chiming in here saying no DeAndre Swift today. I'm guessing that he was officially ruled out recently. I know Jay Glazer is also saying A.J. Brown led a players-only meeting this week as Eagles look to end the late season slump, which should have happened already, I would imagine. But, we all talked about it probably to nauseum at this point about the presser that he held, if you want to call it that. But to kind of go back to what to kind of go with what you're talking about, the not dropping back in coverage, that's a big problem for me. As a, listen, no, I coached, high school and lower teams. So I'm not comparing myself, but usually when you see guys put guys in weird situations or not what you should be doing or using them appropriately, we used to call that spaghetti plays because we would throw that against the wall and see if it stuck. Just to me, that's a desperation play.
Mm-hmm.
If you're dropping back, Hassan Reddick, which we all know, we tried that with Jonathan Gannon quickly in 2021, did not work out well. So why to go back to it? Matt Patricia, whatever. So what this team needs to do is limit the problems that they have. And listen, the problems is they're not great pass defense. The problem is they're going to get gassed. They're looking like they're getting gassed because they're on the field too long. So the offense has to help out that play. Get points where points are needed to get. No quick 3 and outs. And if you got to mix in a heavy dose of run with the pass play, because you need, like I said, we saw it against Seattle in the beginning of the game. We saw it against the Cardinals in the beginning of the game, and then they get away from it. That is what I call the maddening part of it all. Mm-hmm. Here it is. It's working. This works. So I'm going to tear it all apart, not do it now. Like, that is maddening. If you're slowing the ball down, you're taking 7, 6, 7, 8 minutes at a drive, you're eating up a lot of clock on top of getting points, then why are you getting away from it until they do it? Like I said, go back to coaching. And now, again, it's a little different. But if I one time ran the same play 12 times in a row. And I said, and I looked across the field and I looked at the coach. I said, stop me. You know it's coming. I mean, I'm sitting there going like this. I'm like, just say run the play again. Do it again. I just kept running across the field. Just do it again. Stop them. Stop me from doing it and do it. And that's the way, like, they need to do. Like, if it's working, stick with it. Stay consistent with it and run it. And the other thing is what you have to do is what I do. And those right now are with Philly Sports Trips. They're probably at that tailgate trying to make the most fun out of the situation. They're down there in the Meadowlands on their bus, had a great time, or having a great time, I should say. But there's plenty more. And I'm sure they're going to put something together, be it a home game or an away game. Knowing Vince and them at Philly Sports Trips. But hey, if you're looking for other trips, they got the great outdoor stadium series coming up with the Flyers versus the Devils on February 17th. So check them out, phillysportstrips.com. They have a Sixers West Coast trip to LA, couple games, great time, parties. Check it out. If you want to get a little warmer weather stuff going on, they got plenty of spring training games available as well. phillysportstrips.com, the best of the best. I know for a fact me and Ryan have been together on trips with them.
Oh, yeah.
And it is a good time. And it's affordable. That is the best part. It is affordable. So go check out phillysportstrips.com. So bring it back in here. Let's hit some of these comments. I want you guys to help me answer some of these comments. Let's see. Angry Ant's back out again. You want to help the situation, Jeff Lurie. Sell the team, Jeff Lurie. Yeah, he's going there. Mike saying the defensive coordinator makes Billy Davis look smart. Chris is saying 15 more runs is due to the third down defense.
Wow.
Yeah, and let me ask you that, and I'll start with you, Mitch, on this one. I mentioned this in earlier today. I've said it. I mean, I'm watching the games and I'm seeing this, and so these guys are seeing it. Anytime, that's why we're so bad on third down. Every time the third down comes, the same play It's almost guaranteed. It's going to be a slant play to the middle, left or right, doesn't matter, but it's going to be a slant play. And it's going to come if they need 5 or 6 yards. They're going to do it, but they don't seem to stop it or put the right people back into place. And how Hassan Reddick is going to be the guy that fixes that is beyond me. But Mitch, what do they have to do? And why won't they fix that? Or why won't they attempt to change that?
It's just like they're stuck in their own ways. They're just not making any audibles together in the middle field to stop something. I just don't know what Sean Desai was doing now. Patricia is going to take him a little bit for the players to learn his playbook. I get that. But it's just like with Desai, it's just like the same thing over and over and over again. No adjustments at all. Hassan Reddick in coverage, honestly, it's the stupidest thing to me in history that I have seen in quite some time. So it's just like, I don't know, man. Desai they haven't been doing much of anything.
Mike saying Cardinals beat the Eagles by using the Eagles' offense from last year by winning the line of scrimmage and running the long drives and controlling the clock. I would say that was probably, that and 2021 when they really started to turn around. They were doing a lot more running then. But he's right. They were running and they were controlling the clock and wasting a lot of time and creating long drives, which in essence makes the other team change their schemes on the fly. They have to change if they're not managing the clock and they got to throw the ball more or throw the ball deeper. They got to change their play calling. Ryan, I'll go with you on this one. I mean, can they get back to this? Can they get back to controlling this? And why are they not seeing this being kind of forced upon them after they did the whole league last year?
I don't think there's fixing it at this point. And I think even with Matt Patricia, running the show, he's not, installing his own, defense. He's not installing, anything necessarily new. He's just the one kind of organizing and calling the plays and, this being the situational, leader for the defense. But so, I don't think, I mean, again, at this point, it's way too late in the season to try and install anything new. But yeah, I honestly, I can't really give a good reason. I think it's either the fact that they are, the old mindset of, well, my way is the best way. I'm the smartest person in the room. We're gonna keep doing this until it works. But I think the most mind-numbingly frustrating part is that, Al, you said it. When we have a team on third down, you're right. They just slant us to death and they pick up an easy first down. But when we're on third down and we need, we don't, God forbid, we're not within 1 yard and we could just do our little tush push. But, when we have 5 yards to do, we're throwing bombs or we're throwing a screen to, old ass Julio Jones. Like the thought process is broken. And I don't know what's going to take to get them out of that, because at this point it seems too late. It seems like, they are just going to be damned to keep trying it and doing it until, they think it's going to work. So I don't see them changing it. I don't see anything being different. And, unfortunately, it's going to bite us in the playoffs at some point. So.
Like we talked about the AJ Brown conversation, we're gonna let's go to a couple more comments because I have a question that it's interesting after watching last night's Colts game too. I want to bring up to you guys. Daniel saying here from Brussels. Oh, welcome in, Daniel. Sucks my Eagles jerseys is in my missing luggage, but there will still be an Eagles chant in the sports bar. That's awesome, man.
Welcome in. Going on.
We gotta get guys, Eagles jersey. I love Brad here. He's my most positive Eagles fan. He does not change no matter how bad this team is. He's got the Eagles beating the Giants.
Love it.
38-7, which it should be, but it's not. Sadly, I think this will be another field goal game. Yeah, I think it will be because you're not going to have your starting. And we're going to get into that. How do you guys think this game's going to play out with starters finishing the game, and all that stuff in a moment? And then we're going to get to you guys. We're going to get to our topics here. Oddly, I found Philly's hat here. Nothing Eagles. That's cool either way. Hey, wrapping it out. The Eagles coaching staff has adapted well since the Super Bowl loss. This falls on Sirianni. I will say this falls on Sirianni, but I don't know how much they adapted.
I don't know how well they've adapted. I mean, good Lord.
I don't know what makes you think anything got it. I don't know, unless he means like the coaching staff that left. Like
right. Yeah, they've done well. I mean,
that's a question.
Yeah.
I was watching the Ravens game last night, and the whole season, their whole staff is good. Their edge are like Reddick, and their D tackles, and all about that they do is blitz and makes the linebackers and corners look good. Plus, the owner and GM stay in their lanes and not act like coaches. As far as we know, yes, yeah. I mean, I don't follow the Ravens enough to make that conversation, but the Ravens have a very good defense.
Yeah,
and they have a defensive coordinator that we should have. Let's be honest. That's going to be one of those things you could look back that could be the difference in this team being really good and really big. But also, it's a personnel problem, which before I'm afraid Matty B is going to jump out of somewhere and say, "I told you so."
I know, right?
But I mean, give the man credit where credit is due. There was a lot of with the personnel over in the offseason into this season.
And that whole fumble.
And listen, I can tell you right now what the thought process was. We can try and just be better than everybody else, be much better on offense like we were this year, like last year, and have a lesser defense and get away with it, which okay, maybe, but you can't have a defense. Your offense starts to sputter, and then your defense is really looking bad. I mean, you're still scoring 30 points and losing. Like that's a problem. To me, it was almost like the old Drew Brees Saints mentality. We're gonna light you up, and we can have an okay defense at best, and get away with it. And even they saw that biting in the butt down the line. And Brad saying Eagles need to run the ball and also throwing the ball, and defense needs to shut down the Giants offense early and make some sacks on the Giants quarterback. All good ideas. I'm with all that, Brad. I mean, it's simple but true. Yes. But what I wanted to talk about here is a little bit is your guys' five say keys. We'll call it the keys of victory. I believe I have the stinger here somewhere. Here we go. Here we go. And like I said, these are going to be our 5 key matchups to watch. But there is a key matchup you should watch. And this key matchup will be with Sherry's Tickets and your wallet. That's right, sherrystickets.com. When you guys put them together with your wallet, you will save, but also have a great time. Sports, concerts, theaters, you name it, they got it. It's hard to get tickets. Playoff time is coming. They're going to have the availability for those hard to get, impossible to get tickets at sherrystickets.com. Family owned and operated since 1946. Great prices, no hidden fees, and you save an additional 10% off using that great promo code EOP10. That's right, EOP10 will save you an additional 10% off at sherrystickets.com, where there is no hidden fees and always great prices. Again, check out sherrystickets.com, match it up with that promo code, and match it up with your wallet to save money today. Mitch, I'll start with you, man. What are your, in this case, like I told you, it's a little bit of a flex. I know I didn't tell you guys, but give me your key matchups, but also give me your what you look to see and how this game's going to play out.
So for the key matchup, it's defensive line against Saquon Barkley. Can we actually stop this man? When he's healthy, he's a top 5 running back in this league. And with our rush defense being in the bottom of this league, it's going to be very difficult. So that's the first one. The second one, so wait, am I doing 5?
Yeah, go on. Knock him out.
All right, cool. Who's ever guarding A.J. Brown? That's 2. Because for A.J. Brown right now, after what he's been doing and saying in the press conference, I expect him to go all out for this game. Hey, it's on you right now. Actions speak louder than words, Brown. So Then 3, it's got to be Jalen Hurts and the linebackers, man. The reason I'm saying that is because of just like middle of the field, just like spreading the ball around. Jalen Hurts has not been doing that great of like getting rid of the ball close enough. So that's my 3. 4, you know what? I'm gonna say Goddard. I'm gonna say Goddard as well for just giving him the ball. Once you give him the ball, the space opens up for him. And then 5, this one's tough, but you know what? I'm gonna go coaching matchups here. I'm gonna go with Nick Sirianni and Brian Dable. Can Nick Sirianni actually outcoach Brian Dable, so on and so forth? So that's my 5.
Great, Rye.
Oh man, this is tough. It's
Right.
This isn't a real game in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like this is just.
That's why I kind of flexed it. Like,
no,
even if you don't have a full,
like,
even if you don't have the full 5, like, just what do you expect to see, or what would you like to see, or what would Ryan Reese do if he was HC of the Philadelphia Eagles in this game at this point?
I would, if I was the head coach. First of all, I'd probably about half my defense would get suspended. Because we'd be flying around late hitting, sending messages to the Giants. I want to hit somebody that eventually hits into the head coach of the Giants. I mean, I'm talking. I'm getting penalties. I'm getting fines. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a slobber knock, type of Brian Dawkins type hitting all over the place. But since we all know that's not going to happen, and we can't even tackle. Yeah, listen. I want to see. I want to see what Jalen Hurts does today. I want to see him, Al, as you said, play a little mistake-free football. Go in there and play with some confidence, honestly. Next, say 2, AJ Brown. I want to see what he's going to do.
As back up his words.
Yeah, as Mitch said, he spoke, and personally, I thought it was great. I thought the way he handled the situation. I think we might be a little spoiled, honestly, and kind of, forget the bad days of receivers in Philly. So I love AJ Brown. I think what he did was great. And yeah, you know what? He maybe has not had the greatest stretch of a few games, but let's not forget he's still about to probably get over 1,500 yards. Not too bad, considering the awfulness of our receivers over the last, God knows how long. So, and then next, I think it's pretty much all going to be defense. I want to see what this defensive line can do. I want to see what this, the rush defense is going to do. Are they going to continue to be, the worst in the league? Are they going to continue to be gassed? Are they continue to look terrible? That's the kind of thing I want to take a look. So, next, I want to see the young D-backs. I want to see Ricks. I want to see Ringo. I want to see Sidney Brown. How are they going to react in a game like this? Again, this is still a rival. This is still the Giants. You still have to play them twice every single year. Again, that's why I would send, not necessarily, get suspended or anything, but I'd send a little message, realize that they're still a rival of ours. Mm-hmm. They play spoiler in some fashion to us. So let's see what the young kids have, and then finally, I want to see the play calling on both sides. I want to see how the defense plays their, calls their plays, Patricia and everything. Are they going to continue to do this ridiculous, hey, let's pull all edge rushers and put them into coverage? I mean, what's next? Jalen Carter's going to be dropping back into, a cover high safety? Like, come on. It's just ridiculous. That, and then the offense. I want to see smart plays. I want to see when you're on third down. I want to see you do smart plays and get first down. Slant across the middle. Use what you have. You have AJ Brown, who's like could just absolutely slanted everybody to death, last season. They don't do it this year for some reason. Utilize him in that way. Utilize your game. Stop doing these wide receiver screens, these dump off passes. They are so infuriating. Smart about it. So those are, I guess, my 5 things that I'm going to look for in this meaningless game. That's might as well be a preseason game in my eyes.
My key matchup. I'm going to start with number one in this case, and I kind of bring it back to where I kind of was alluding to last night. Watching that Colts game. We all know the Colts lost. Now they're out of the playoffs, but Shane Steichen had a decent first season as Colts head coach, considering that Gardner Minshew was his starting QB for most of the season, especially for the big portion of the season. But I saw something that night, last night, that I don't know if you guys picked up on. When the mistake was made, you saw Gardner Minshew in the offense coming off the field. He grabs his headphones and he moves his head off, and he said, "That was on you." You know what I mean? Like that was like looking at you, shaking his head, like, "Yeah, you screwed up, pal, and I let you know." And we talk about respect. So is it my first matchup? Is it real respect versus respect for a guy who's taken, laying on the sword for your players? And that's the thing with Nick Sirianni that I question right now moving forward is does his team or players respect him, or they respect that he is a rah-rah kind of guy for them and that he's going to sit there and take a bullet for them if they make a mistake, versus a guy who's willing to call out players when they make mistakes where they respect them. Is that something that's missing? Is it, because not having Shane Steichen showed us a lot different team this year, a lot different offense. So I would like to see if that'd be a matchup we might not see just today, but going forward, is what's going on. Again, that mistake-free football is another big piece. Like just cleaning up the easy stuff that you can clean up. Defensive line, stop falling for the simple stunts. Like, is it being gassed, or is it being in your head too much? Like, is that a problem? Are they just pressing themselves so hard to make a move to try to get a sack that they haven't been able to sack? The sack is down. People talk about turnovers. We need more turnovers in our favor. That was a big difference this year than it was last year. The sack ratio was a big difference, but an even bigger difference that has kind of flew under the radar, that hasn't been talked about, at least in my eyes, is the amount of turnovers that the Eagles were able to produce. And that's a big problem. When you can't sack, you can't do that. Our secondary is not grabbing balls outside of ones that were just errantly thrown. That Reed Blankenship one, I'm not taking away from him, but that was tossed with him with nobody defending him. So, that's great, grand, and wonderful against the Cardinals. But you need more than just that. I need to see heart from this team, and I know it sounds kind of cheesy and pathetic to say it that way, but this team has been seeming heartless, and pathetic is a term I would use. Not all of them, but a good portion of them. Some of them seem like they're ready to roll over. Some of them are easy to blame other players. I want to see some heart, and I want to see some, hey, we can right this ship and we can make a playoff run. We're not out of this. We're going to playoff. And I used the term earlier this week, a chip in a chair, for any of you poker players out there, meaning as long as you have a chip in front of you and you're sitting in the chair at the table, you have an opportunity to win the game, or, to win in poker. Well, you're in the playoffs. Act like it. That's how I look at it. You're in the NFL playoffs. Now you need to act like it. And that's where it is. These guys need a wake-up call. Unfortunately, you would think, getting your ass handed to you by the Niners or Dallas Cowboys, or losing to teams like the Seahawks, the Cardinals, those would be enough of a wake-up call for you. But obviously not. Those are my maybe not matchups, but things to look for. Can this team listen? And we all know about the Ravens. They went on a big skid before they won their last Super Bowl. A lot of teams, there's times that they kind of fall apart a little bit in December if it's injury or something like that along the lines. But the internal problems scare me. If you make if you make a bad block, or you miss, you whiff on a tackle, those things you can work on and get better. But if there is some sort of breakdown in the locker room or trust, like, when you have a players only meeting, which is, good, because, hey guys, we need to be real. Hey, it's this. And AJ said it in his thing. I know I'm kind of rambling here, but he said, the coaches didn't play any snaps this year. Last time I checked, it's on us. We have to be better. And AJ, that was the smartest thing I've heard all year from anybody on the Eagles. Like, yes, you have to play better. And the one other telling thing that I don't feel like was also brought up enough was the we went rogue comment. We went rogue. What does that tell me? You don't trust your offensive coordinator's play calling. And I don't expect Brian Johnson to make huge changes because you can't. Just like I'm not defending him. I'm not saying I want Matt Patricia back next year, but this wasn't the defense Matt Patricia would have put together, at least defensive scheme, I should say.
Nope.
So I can't blame him, but at the same time, I can, it's just, it doesn't matter who you put in there at defense, a defensive coordinator. You can't make a gigantic scheme change. And the other key matchup is the coaching staff versus Rashad Penny. Can we just, now that it was Swift out tonight, can you just, for the sake of God's sakes, just put him in there? What more do you need? What are you saving him for? I don't get it. Now Swift is out. Kenny Gainwell, fine, whatever. But you don't want to injure these guys as well as much. But Rashad Penny, you're not going to use him in the playoffs. You might as well use him today. So those are my matchups plus what I'm looking forward to see. And guys, they are brought to you by cherryinjurylaw.com. That's right. David R. Cherry is a man with a plan to fight for your rights if you get hurt at work in a motor vehicle accident, personal injury, or criminal law. Go to cherryinjurylaw.com or call Dave Cherry directly at 610-565-0300. Again, that number is 610-565-0300, or go to cherryinjurylaw.com and let Dave Cherry fight for your rights, because that man has the tenacity you need to fight for your rights in those situations. Hopefully the Eagles do it. All right, guys, we're going to get down to that part of the game. I don't know how important a scenario, guessing what the score is going to be at this point in this game. But what do you, Ryan, expect? How do you expect this to play out? Do they start all their starters, play the whole game, play half the game? Do you think they're going to be watching the Cowboys scoreboard a little bit to see how they're going to make their decisions? Ryan, how do you expect this to play out? And give me your score prediction if you want to.
Yeah, I hope they're watching the Dallas game. So, I hope they go in at halftime, and when they see Dallas is up by 20 points, they go, well, all right, well, time to sit everybody. I think in our Discord that somebody had wrote, run Rashad Penny 50 times. Who cares at this point, right?
Yeah,
that's what I want to see. I don't expect Washington to make this a game. So I expect them to be on Dallas-Washington watch and act accordingly. I don't see the starters playing the whole time. You're also playing at MetLife. I mean, it is notorious for their injuries. I mean, especially the ACL injuries. So, I don't want to see a lot of them out there. Do what you got to do, but I fully expect that most of the starters not to be in the fourth quarter, hopefully. As far as score goes, about 24-21 Eagles, because I can never – I ran this whole season not picking against the Eagles, so I might as well keep it that way. So, yeah. Player of the game is Rashad Penny. Let's go with that.
Okay. I would just like to see Rashad Penny touch the turf a little bit, to be honest.
Right?
Mike's sitting here saying, I'd like to see the Eagles dominate the line of scrimmage and run the ball over 200 yards as a team. I mean, this team should get 100-plus yards by accident. All I hear is this Eagles O-line is the best, which I agree with you, Mike. I feel like they've been living off their name a little bit versus living up to it. Mitch, go ahead.
Oh, my God. For me, it's like they got to watch the Cowboys game, but it's the whole team, the whole health. It depends on that. And can we get a Boston Scott revenge game? I don't want him to fumble. He's a giant killer for some strange reason, right? So can he score a touchdown or something? But yeah, my player of the game, I'm going with Jake Elliott. But
it's a safe one. It's a safe one. I told you that earlier.
That's how I'm gonna go. I don't think I'm gonna do a score prediction for this one.
Does anybody know what the anytime touchdown odds right now are for Boston Scott? Because I know last game they made it 1, 2, or 2.5.
Yeah, they jacked it up.
They jacked it up knowing that. Yeah, that's funny.
People are going to totally do that. Yeah. I'll get you that in a second there.
I'm not as much worried about watching the Dallas game but I would not want to see the starters out on this field more than the first half. Now, if the Dallas game, if they're down and it looks like they're losing, or this could be a game they could lose, then maybe, yeah, you're going to want to leave them in. But I want to see this team just get some confidence going into the playoffs. I want to see them. I want Jalen Hurts to throw a touchdown pass to maybe A.J. Brown or something. But also, I want to see them spread it out. The one good thing that came out of the other game is you saw 2 touchdown passes from somebody else who wasn't A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith or even Dallas Goedert. So it was good to see. That's what made them good last year. One of the key things that made them good wasn't just their offense as potent as it was, is that they spread that damn ball around and everybody got a little taste about it. And then there was, the problems was AJ not getting enough touches and he was upset about it or whatever it was. At this point, you need to spread it around. If you want to keep this team guessing, use what you got best. Use those offensive weapons and make them good. And yeah, I'm not saying he's going to be my player of the game, but I would like Rashad Penny to be the player of the game because that means he played and he played well.
There you go.
So,
plus 280 for Boston Scott to score a touchdown.
Plus 280. Okay. Yeah.
And by the way, Rashad Penny not on the list here.
He's not on the list at all.
Even on the list.
Is he at least active today? Do they even manage, who are the inactives for the Eagles?
I haven't heard an update.
Yeah, but I'll hit a couple of these comments, but then we're going to head out in the next couple minutes. Angry Ants, if the Eagles players and coaches I would ask to trade or related or released to get better, not be like puppets. I get that, and I know people feel that way, and it does sometimes rear its ugly head that, they do hire guys as who are more willing to listen to upper management than just be their own guy. And if there's any truth to that, Jeff Lurie needs to stop acting like a guy who got dumped by his girlfriend 20 years ago and still holds that pain. Like, you need to just get the right guy for the right job and trust them to do it. No, you don't give them all the power of everything, but you need a checks and balance, and you do need somebody to check even Howie a little bit, because one thing that is rearing its ugly head is that we haven't really produced any young quarterbacks, safeties, things like players like that that have played well. And now it's hurting us. Now it's biting us. So, those are the kind of things that going forward. This Eagles team doesn't deserve it to sit anybody today. True, Mike. I know how you feel. Like, Mike's hurt. Mike's pissed, and I get it. And that's why we call him Mad Mike at times, because he is angry about it, and he should be. And every person should be. And normally no, but if you want this team to have any chance of a playoff run, you have to be smart about it, especially where they're playing. If this was home, I could probably agree with you a little bit more, Mike. I could probably agree with the situation, but we all know what MetLife Stadium is like, a house of horrors for players and injuries. So, and you also don't want something this late in the season for somebody that could affect next season if they're going to be here, So that's all important things to think about. And Jeff and Howie are a bunch of stiffs. Thank you, Angry. Any parting shots, boys?
I'll say this. I hope A.J. Brown gets 12 catches for at least 53 yards so he can break the record for receptions and get over 1,500 yards today.
Okay, go ahead, Mitch.
All right. So for me, I just want to see Jalen Hurts throw a bomb, throw a dot. I want to see a deep ball to A.J. Brown. I want to see that connection again. I just want to see that after these last couple of weeks. And also, I just want to see some sacks. When was the last time we actually had some sacks? Last week, what, 2 sacks or something? That's what I want to see. Is it Tyrod Taylor or is it DeVito?
Taylor.
It's Tyrod, yeah.
It's Tyrod. Okay. That makes me feel a little more nervous because of the second half the last time.
Yeah. I'm going to kind of piggyback off you, Mitch. I'm going to say I want to see some sacks and sack on this team. This team needs to sack up as well as add some sacks. So, guys, I appreciate you all joining us. Mitch, Ryan, as always. We will be back. You haven't seen the last of us today. We will be reacting to what we see today, breaking it all down at the end for the post-game show and the halftime show. Of course, always the best 13 minutes in sports, I say, with Shane and Dibes coming at you, breaking down all the what we see in the first half and things going forward. And definitely like probably figuring out where the Dallas Cowboys are at and how this is going to play out going into the second half. So, guys, you can find Mitch at Mitch Kofsky on X. I'm getting used to calling it just X now. As well as Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA on X. I'm Big Al EOP on X. You can find us here on all at EOP at EOPsports.com, as well as our Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, wherever. So, guys, check it out. Again, thanks, guys, for joining us. Thank you to our great sponsors over at SherryInjuryLaw.com, Sherry'sTickets.com, and PhillySportsTrips.com. Again, go Birds, and hopefully we can talk about a second seed versus a fifth seed at the end of the game. Take it easy, guys, and we'll see you in the future.